we are very afraid here on the Balkans, in Europe, because we think that US provoking Putin to attack Europe.
Yeah, no, they definitely look. The West objective with respect to Russia is to break Russia up, to consume it, to take its natural resources, to take all the gold, the oil, the gas, the uranium, the aluminum, the nickel.
This is Russian point of view, Russian spies point of view. You understand that if I say here in our medias here, they will say Martin is a spy, Russian spy.
Yeah, that's when they refuse to address the facts, they have to go for the personal smear.
Yeah.
And it is, what we're seeing is the West is just obsessed with Russia and prepared to destroy it. So, the Russians are fighting back. And now, Putin has no intention to invade Europe. I mean, that's a Western fabrication. But the West has every intent on trying to invade and destroy Russia, if given the chance.
But that will be a war on the Europe territory. It will be a war, a global war, or will be just European small war.
Well, let's hope it doesn't really get beyond the borders of Ukraine. I do think the two countries which have the greatest risk are Romania and Poland, because of their fielding U.S. military bases there, and they're storing weapons that potentially nuclear weapons. So that's going to become an issue for the Russians.
Maybe you underestimate Putin. Why it happened? I think Putin is dangerous. Putin is full of weapons.
Well, they don't take, the West doesn't take Putin seriously.
Why?
Putin's a very serious man. He's spoken very directly and bluntly, and I think most of the West has ignored him. They've not paid attention to what he's saying. So as a result, they think that they can bully Putin. They think that they can intimidate him, and they can't. Putin's not going to back down.
How long will Putin tolerate these provocations?
I think they're at the end of their patience. This latest attack in Sevastopol, coupled with the terrorist attacks in Dagestan, the burning of the synagogue, the attack on the priest, they killed an elderly cleric in the Eastern Orthodox faith. I think this has now created a decisive moment where Russia's going to dramatically increase its offensive operations against the West.
Is it dangerous?
Yes, is it dangerous? Oh, absolutely, it's very dangerous.
It's very dangerous for us, but is it dangerous for Florida? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. One of the things that has made the United States so willing to engage in these kinds of foolish activities of regime change, we've never suffered any damage here. The last time the United States was invaded by a foreigner was basically 1812 in the Battle of New Orleans. Other than that, the Civil War caused a lot of death and destruction and left a mark. But World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, those wars are all over there, away from us. And the United States really hasn't suffered much loss from it. We haven't had many casualties.
You think American thinks that the war is over the seas? Over the seas, very, very far away.
Yeah, it's over there. Over there, it doesn't touch us here, so who needs to worry about it?
But the world is global. The weapon is global. The weapon.
Yes, you're correct. That's where I think the United States is grossly miscalculating.
Is the U.S. pushing Bulgaria, pushing us towards war in Europe?
I have not been following what's going on in Bulgaria, but I guarantee you that Bulgaria is not being encouraged to think for itself and to pursue an independent policy that's under great pressure to conform to the UN, the European views and the views of the United States.
but we don't have army. In communism, we have 100,000 soldiers. Now, we have 25,000 with generals, and we have no weapons.
You provide cannon fodder, bodies at the front that can be fill gaps in the holes, but then you end up getting killed. That's, that's the problem. I think, if countries like Bulgaria get together with Hungary, with Slovakia, and begin demanding, hey, we got to have peace. We cannot, we cannot continue to have this state of war with Russia. Russia has not yet declared war on Europe, but Lavrov, in his statement to the U.S. ambassador on Monday, said very clearly, without any ambiguity, we are no longer at peace. It's one phrase away from saying we are now at war.
This is very scary.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is, I'm old enough. I was an 8-year-old boy, 7-year-old during the first Cuban Missile Crisis in October '62. Well, we're back at a situation now that's more dangerous than that, I believe.
But in this moment, we don't have Kennedy.
True. Yeah, at least Kennedy there exercised good judgment once he got the facts. He was not a blind ideologue. And the story is told by Tim Weiner, who wrote a book on the history of the CIA called Legacy of Ashes. And Weiner recalls a briefing of Kennedy in the early days of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And Kennedy said something to the effect, I don't know why Khrushchev is doing this. I mean, he's acting like we've put missiles in Turkey. And the room got real quiet. And it was up to, I think, George Bundy to say, Mr. President, we have put missiles in Turkey. So even then, the president of the United States did not realize actions that had been taken that were being viewed by the Russians as provocations. This, I think, what we're going through right now is different because the United States is just openly challenging Russia, and Russia is openly pushing back. So that's dangerous.
That's scary. And I cannot understand if the war is global, who will win this war?
Well, I believe Russia, China are going to win the war against the West, the so-called international rules-based order, especially Russia coming out on top in a way that nobody anticipated. When the United States imposed the economic sanctions, they genuinely believed that it would force Russia to collapse and crush the Russian economy. Didn't happen. And that's just a reminder of how ignorant and incompetent either the Biden administration is or the CIA is, because it's one of two things. Either the CIA warned Biden, don't do this. The Russians have too many natural resources. They have too many options. It's not going to hurt them. It's going to hurt us. If the CIA didn't say that, so if the CIA said that and Biden rejected it, then it's on Biden totally. But if the CIA came in and said, oh boy, yeah, Russia's weak and, any economic sanctions will force a crack and bring it into the government of Putin, well, then that's not all Biden's fault. That's the fault of the nitwit at the intelligence side of the house that came up with that claim.
Okay. Last questions. Is it true that Eastern Europe is a target now?
A target for who?
For everybody, for Putin's weapons, for not NATO weapons. I cannot understand. We are just territory without weapons.
If Bulgaria allows NATO to come in and build military bases and to stockpile nuclear weapons, then Bulgaria is becoming a target of Russia by virtue of the actions of the United States through NATO. But right now, I think the only countries really at risk are Poland and Romania in particular, Germany and France and England.
Mhm.
But Poland and Romania are closer. They've got Aegis missile defense systems in their country. These were taken off of naval ships and installed on the land. They, I'm told, have the capability to carry a nuclear device, which, you know, the Russians monitor those quite closely. So if any countries are attacked, the most likely culprits will be Poland and Romania and France and Great Britain.
I think everybody's bluffing. Maybe Putin is bluffing. Maybe United States is bluffing. We want to believe in this. That
Yeah, with Putin, I don't play bluff. I don't think Putin bluffs. You know, go back and look at his previous statements. He's usually, I think, almost always followed through on those. You know, he was warning days in advance. Hey, we'll take back the Donbass. People didn't believe him.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, oh my God, he started to take back the Donbass.
Maybe Trump will change the game. Maybe.
If Trump is elected, he will definitely change the dynamic with respect to Ukraine and China. I'm not sure he'll alter the head-on collision with Israel and Iran. I think, given recent developments, that this whole situation with Iran could be settled before the presidential election's over. It'll be settled by virtue of, I guess, the attack. If the attacks take place, there won't be anything left to solve or negotiate, I guess is what I'm saying.
Really, last question. Do you consider as negative the manipulation of intelligence for political purpose? Give an example of how this manipulation is done.
Yeah, well, if you know, one way that it's manipulated is, I am not convinced that the intelligence community is accurately briefing the Biden administration on the state of the war in Ukraine. I fear that they are trying to paint everything in the most positive light and suggest that Ukraine has more hope, more options than they really do. I saw that firsthand when I was an analyst at CIA now for almost 40 years ago. And we were dealing with the issue of the Contras. And there was enormous pressure coming from the operations side of the house for us analysts to report that the guerrillas that were fighting, the Contras that were fighting the Sandinistas, were doing much better than they really were. So I've seen how that kind of political pressure is applied. Mine was on a very small scale. I mean, because that was a small war. But the same thing happened in Vietnam. George Allen, who I was privileged to be trained by him as an analyst, George Allen was in charge of all of the analysis over Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And he kept getting pressure, political pressure, to change the analysis and portray the North Vietnamese as losing very rapidly on a broad scale and that the South was winning. And he refused to do that. So I think we're faced with a similar kind of situation now, where the politics of it dictate what the intelligence will be.
And this is a big mistake, a political mistake. What you want to say to
fatal.
Europeans, to Bulgarians? Say something to Bulgarians, like citizens. What can you do?
I would encourage all Bulgarians to read as much alternative media as possible. I always appreciate comments and the readers from Bulgaria at sonar21.com. You know, what I've discovered is there is a global community out there that's rallying around the truth. And we come from different countries and different religious backgrounds and even different political perspectives. But there is a core of people around the globe that are wanting to stand up and push back against this, I'll call it this imperialist warmongering that's going on, especially on the part of the West, Washington, Europe, Israel. And I see that the emergence of BRICS is creating an alternative that, as the world embraces it, we may actually have a chance for some genuine global peace, as opposed to all this continued warfare and bloodshed.
I'm from this generation. What happens with this sign? Peace, man, peace. Where is the peace?
Yeah.
What's happened with peace?
Not to be seen right now, that's for sure.
Okay, let's finish like this. Peace. Let it be.
Let it be. That's my prayer.
Thank you for this interview.
I thank you so much. It's my honor to have been able to reach out to the people of Bulgaria.